Welcome back. We are the Lost Guy.
Yay!
Nolan Thunder, Martin Stone, and myself, A Hangry Table, are pleased to be back once again to discuss Lost Media. We're also doubly pleased that our great overlord, Jonas J. Campbell, was able to put all of our episodes up on TPP. So thank you very much for that, Jonas.
And marathon that stuff, guys.
Watch all the stuff we've been talking about and referencing to, so you're no longer in the dark. This is fantastic. We are going to be talking today, speaking of the dark, about a dark, twisted, grim, lost media that, well, I don't know. Part of me wonders if it should have stayed lost. Part of me doesn't. Ultimately, we will need to let the Crow of Judgment decide.
I'm disappointed.
He would be disappointed.
My grades.
Because.
Well, all right. Welcome to the episode, guys. We're going to talk about a PNG image for the next 50 minutes.
Yeah, no. In fact, but there is a bit of a Crow-like theme, because we're going to be talking about The Crow, Stairway to Heaven, the TV series. Yes. Damn. You guys might remember the original The Crow movie, starring Brandon Lee, the son of Bruce Lee, who unfortunately died during the production of that film. It was an extremely tragic accident. He was shot by a blank, and a misfiring blank, rather. And it was right before they had completed filming. And so the studio decided that they were going to, well, I guess, use some special effects and body doubles to complete the film. And they aired the film. It came out. When did it come out? Was it 96? Hang on. I should know this. Crow movie.
Either way, it went down as a classic, definitely.
1994. Came out in 1994. And it's a classic. They've made multiple sequels, all of which have been sort of disastrous. And as these things turn out,
at least it didn't have Jared Leto.
Yeah, it did.
One of them did have Thomas Jane.
Yeah, it's true.
For like 5 minutes, and he was creepy.
For 5 minutes, and he was creepy. And in fact, you could say that things are a little timely, because there is going to be a brand new Crow movie coming out in a few weeks' time, starring Bill Skarsgård of It fame, and Zazie Beetz is the woman that apparently he decides he wants to come back to life for. Although, wait, is it Zazie Beetz? No, it's not Zazie Beetz. Sorry, the Crow movie 2024. Who is in that film? I know it's somebody else. FKA Twigs. Sorry, just can never get all these names right. Anyway,
I'm sorry. So that's the name?
That's her name is FKA, like capital FKA Twigs.
Why?
I'm old.
Yeah, you know what? I hear you. Hang on a second. Let me throw this up here. So maybe some of the younger members in our audience can. British singer, songwriter, and dancer Talia Debrett Barnett, known professionally as FKA Twigs, stylized as FKA Twigs with a small T instead of a large one. Yeah, you know what? I'm old too. I don't understand. So anyway, Bill Skarsgård comes back.
Formerly known as Twigs.
I guess so.
Okay.
Anyway, Bill Skarsgård comes back for her from the dead, and so this is going to be coming out soon. And we've had some leakers say it's going to be a complete disaster. So it could be kind of interesting, sort of in a grim and morbid sort of way. But all that to be said, we are going to be talking about the fact that not only did they make 5 Crow movies.
There are 5 of them?
5 of them. No, sorry. There are 4 movies, with the 5th one coming out soon. And in fact, the 4th movie starred Edward Furlong, and David Boreanaz as the big bad. But you see here going from the left, you've got Brandon Lee, and then you've got the second dude, who is this French guy.
I don't know if I've ever seen a dude wearing a crop top like that.
Yeah, you know what? Apparently this is becoming the trend now, along with men wearing like thigh-high socks with tiny shorts. I don't know, that seems to be the thing.
Clearly, Nolan, you've never been to Disney in June.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, no, I don't go in June because I would probably pass out from heat exhaustion.
Okay. So it's Vincent Perez who stars as the Crow. So he's the guy with the crop top. And in fact, that movie featured Iggy Pop and Trini, the Yellow Power Ranger, before she passed away. Yeah, she was one of the bad girls.
Why does every episode keep going back to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Because it's a common link that unites us all, Nolan. And so then Eric Mabius is the guy in the center there, is the third Crow. And then you've got Edward Furlong is the fourth
Does
one.
he not have a name? Like the middle guy? Is he that forgettable?
No. His name is Eric Mabius.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He was I think he was like some sort of like some like teen movies or something. Then you got Edward Furlong, and then you have at the very end Mark Dacascos playing Brandon Lee's character. And so what's really interesting is The Crow Stairway to Heaven was a TV adaptation of Brandon Lee's movie in which he tragically passed away, which became a cult classic. And this TV show features like the same design aesthetic. They tried to hire actors that looked like the ones that were in the movie. They had the same music.
So they tried in this one.
They tried. Like, this was basically, we're taking the movie, we're hiring another half Asian guy who can do martial arts. We're hiring a young, annoying little girl with blonde curly hair. We're hiring a tough as nails, like black detective, and then I guess a loving and mysterious love interest in the name of Shelley Webster. And like beat for beat in the pilot TV show, they go through the plot of the first movie, which is itself based on the graphic novel The Crow, written by James O'Barr. And so it's the only time where you've had the character of Eric Draven played, which is what Brandon Lee played, recast. Now, Bill Skarsgård in the movie, which will be coming out soon with formerly known as Twigs, he is also going to be playing Eric Draven. And FKA Twigs will be Shelley Webster. And I guess they're also going to be redoing the entire origin story with all of the main characters, like Darla, the sort of the drug addicted mother, Top Dollar, the gangster, and then all of his various crew like Tintin, T-Bird, and all those guys. So I will have to wait to see how that movie turns out. But to be fair, The Crow, the TV show, they tried their darndest. At least the pilot episode tried its darndest to stick to the first movie, and then it kind of went off the rails a little bit. I don't know. I'd
say they set it up.
Did you guys want, like, what did you guys think?
I think those first two episodes were a good setup to extend it out so it could be a recurring multi-season show. Yeah, because the movie really it's sort of it's set. You know, the Draven has his arc and he dies. I'm sorry, did I give away a movie from 1994?
That's okay. Spoilers.
He dies and he dies again, but you need to set up a recurring thing for TV, Eric. So, you know, the first couple episodes do that pretty efficiently.
But
when I saw this show was I saw a little later in the series. I decided this time around to not just start with the origin story. I wanted to see what happened a little later on. So I saw the doppelganger episode where he thinks he finds his love interest, and then there's like this big drama going on between where she was in like the witness protection program or something like that, and they both have been taking on like different aliases and stuff, and it brought them together, and she had the name of like his old girlfriend. It was convoluted, but it was actually a lot of fun. Like,
yeah, that was an identity theft thing. I remember that one.
Yes. But it was cool. It was not at all the type of show I thought it was going to be. It was more like a kind of like a crime drama with supernatural elements, as opposed to the trailer I'd seen with Jared Leto.
Well, that's what always seems to happen with these TV shows. Like science fiction or fantasy, they invariably become a type of like cop procedural. The same thing happened with the Lucifer TV series, right? Like based on this really successful run of graphic novels, of comic books, and they partner him up with a cop to solve mysteries of the week. Like,
Can I say how random it was? Sorry to cut you off, but can I say how random it was too? Because you have this kind of, they're playing it a lot more straight here, even though, dude comes back from the dead and all that. But like in the episode, when you see him, like he swaps out to like the makeup, when he hulks out or whatever.
He crows out.
Crows out. Okay.
I don't know.
And it's just kind
Crows up.
of random. It's cool, but at the same time, it's like, it's weird that he's wearing makeup all of a sudden. Like, I would have just thought he was just like a cool, kind of like, Viper way back when we did that, where it's just a cool dude and he's just kicking butt,
Well, in the movie, he paints his face at the beginning of the movie to look like the Harlequin mask his wife or fiance had. But yeah, in the show, it just kind of shows up whenever he needs it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like he's a zombie.
Well, I guess in some ways it is a bit of an interesting conceit, because going back to the other movies that they've done, in each instance, they have to come up with, a way for the main character to get that Harlequin mask, that crow makeup on them somehow. And so as these things go, it just becomes a bit more and more ludicrous. Like, here, I have seen all these movies. I'm just trying to find, where the heck did I put that image of all of those crows? Here we go. So, okay, so in the first movie, like Martin said, to the left, Brandon Lee, they had this Harlequin mask. They were kind of into the goth thing, and so he just decided to paint the mask on his face. In the second movie with Vincent Perez, with the crop top, that one actually takes place in the future, and the little girl is grown up into this sort of weird goth painter, and she remembers the fact that Eric came back from the dead once, and this guy now has come back from the dead because both he and his son in this instance were killed. So she's like, well, the last guy who did this had this Harlequin mask, so I'm going to paint these on you as well. And then he goes off and kills all the people who killed him. In the third one, in the center there, that guy actually gets framed for murder and put into an electric chair, and they give him like this weird, like sort of leather mask as he's being electrocuted. And so his crow, like the makeup is not makeup; those are scars that stay on his face from the electrocution, the mask he was wearing. And it's been so long since I've seen the Edward Furlong one that I can't remember why he put it on. But yeah, so at least where I'm going with this is that, at least in the case of this TV show, there is a bit of the idea that this is like some sort of death mask, or almost like a superhero costume in a way. It's a conceit that works, because otherwise he'd be like, oh crap, I see there's crime happening, I better run home and apply my makeup. Right. So at least
that's still like one of those YouTube makeup tutorials.
Yeah.
Like that for 20 minutes. All right, guys. So we're going to start out here.
So at least he's got, when he crows out, the makeup comes on. But yeah, I don't know, this TV show, I don't know how I feel about it.
It's wild.
I don't know. Well, Nolan, I want to hear some more of your thoughts about this.
Okay. So I have a question for you guys for this scenario. Okay. What would you think about this show? Because there's been a lot of different iterations of The Crow, obviously, but Brandon Lee is the most famous. I didn't know that there was anything aside from the remake that was coming out and the original. What would you think to someone whose first ever connection with this world and these characters was this TV show?
Well, I mean, I would say go watch the movie and take the TV show for what it is, an attempt to cash in on a cult classic, which had not reached the sort of elevated godlike status that it has received now, where it was just popular enough that some executive, and we should really ask Lou about this, thought, hey, we can make this into a TV show. And in fact, why don't we do this? Why don't we make this into a Canadian TV show? And, again, on behalf of all Canadians, I apologize. So I'd say go watch the movie.
There's a bunch of stuff about the TV show that makes it
charming,
weird, obviously.
Okay, weird.
I mean, there's some charming stuff too, but like Eric's got to get a job because somebody has to pay the rent on the apartment so that nobody else will be able to rent it, and he can he can stay near the portal that gives him a connection to his dead girlfriend who's still on the other side. And then there's another crow that shows up, a lady who's, I think she and her daughter were killed by drive-by violence because that was a big concern in the 1990s. You know, like there were some odd things, weird choices that were made.
Well, Eric ends up going to prison, and they put him on trial.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, so you go from essentially a story of this guy coming back from the dead 1 year out. Okay, because again, the conceit in the movies was that, at least in the first one, Eric and his fiancée were killed on Halloween, and then a year later, Eric comes back for like one night only, kills everybody, and then goes back into the grave, right?
And I watched the movie again recently. It's not one night only. It's until the crow dies, and when the crow dies, he becomes immortal. He becomes mortal again.
Oh,
yeah, because I think I said it was Halloween. I think maybe it's Devil's Night, which is the night before Halloween.
Yeah, it is. It's Devil's Night. I always thought it was just him coming back. He's got to kill these folks, and once he's done, then he goes back to the grave. Here's the she crow, by the way. And so anyway, the entire point is, like, I think at most it lasts, this zombie's running around for like a week, but instead, they stretch it out for like 2 years, right? And so, or 2 seasons. And you're right. In that instant, it's like basically like, okay, a zombie has appeared, or the Dracula has come back, but oh yeah, he's got to get a job. Oh wait, he's been arrested for murder. So it's almost this weird kind of like Office scenario where you take Batman and you make him like work at a 7-Eleven or something, right? Like it's so surreal, I think.
Okay, suddenly I want to see a legal procedural drama where Dracula is put on trial for real estate fraud related to buying Carfax Abbey.
Well, that's exactly it. Like, that's exactly what they did with this show. And so it's like, all right, Mr. Crow, you've come back from the dead through this like mystical portal that exists in your Upper East Side loft. But we're going to arrest you for murdering the people who murdered you, and you're gonna have to get a job in the meantime. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's interesting, but
it's weird. It's cool. It completely blindsides you. And the reason I asked that question is because this is my first exposure to The Crow in general.
You never saw the first movie?
Nope, hadn't seen it yet. So
I would say the first movie. Okay, this is gonna sound bad, but the first movie benefits from the tragedy of Brandon Lee's death.
Yeah.
Like, it did better than it would have otherwise.
Yeah.
Kind of like The Dark Knight.
No, The Dark Knight was going to be huge either way.
Okay,
but
see
Heath
that.
Ledger probably wouldn't have been nominated for an Oscar, except posthumously for that role.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he never would have gotten the Oscar because they hate superhero movies. So yeah, that would have never happened.
But so, and again, the other thing too, you have to remember, Nolan, is that the movie came out at a time when this sort of stuff was cool instead of edgy. It hadn't been deconstructed to death. It
hadn't been overdone too. It was kind of a new thing.
Overdone. It was kind of a new thing. This is 1994. And it was, I think, the height of the goth subculture as well.
I'd argue early 2000s on that one.
Okay. And I mean, I think it's doing it a disservice to say it was like a goth show, but it was the type of raw emotional film that, with the added tragedy of Brandon Lee's death, I think, like Martin correctly said, it really kind of sort of supercharged it and elevated it into the cultural zeitgeist.
It's kind of like the Nirvana effect in a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a really good comparison there. And
yeah,
so
I would say, like, at the end of Nirvana, Pearl Jam was on the verge, or at least maybe even was the bigger band. Yeah. And then Kurt Cobain happens, and suddenly grunge is Nirvana.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 100%. So go back and watch it, but recognize that it is a bit of a product of its time. But I still would argue that it holds up remarkably well.
Agreed.
It does, and some of the things in the movie are pretty charming. Like there are some rooftop sequences where there's some forced perspective to make it look like a crowded city rooftop, but is clearly in a set.
Yeah.
In fact, there's kind of a classic guitar solo destroying an amp sequence that it works pretty well.
The music is so good, bro. The music's so good.
So you've listened to the soundtrack?
I actually just watching the episode, but this is a series.
We were talking about the movie, but yeah, the movie. Yeah, the music.
Oh yeah, I was in the show. I thought it was fantastic. The music I was hearing, I was like, bro, this is happening.
I will say that the one enduring part of the Crow TV show for me is that I've never forgotten that theme song. For whatever reason, it's always been in my head.
It's a good one.
It's one of those where I am really surprised because like this seemed like such a out of the blue topic, which I guess fits for our show. But like when you guys talked about it, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of going this blind. But I'm like, if someone told me like, hey, I'm interested in checking this out, would you recommend? I might be jumping the gun here, but I'm like, yeah, I would. I think it's a well done show that has the right amount of fantasy fun. It's got pretty good pacing. It's got the good amount of angst, music. Like it hits the notes it needs to hit. And I don't think it's forgettable. You're wasting your time watching. I think this is honestly one of the better shows we've watched so far.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe it wasn't as appreciated as it should have been in its time. But then when you see the output of what we've been getting in terms of TV shows for the last
maybe 20 years from now, I'll think. Sorry to cut you off, but maybe 20 years from now, I'll look back and think it sucked or something. But I'll tell you, maybe it's just because of what's around. But I don't know. Some of these shows are looking like masterpieces compared to what we've had recently, which is bad, very bad.
100%.
Now this was
I like seeing news stories.
Show, right?
It was a syndicated show, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't attached to a network. This was just syndicated TV. And so the budgets are a little smaller. You weren't getting big names to star in it. They did a lot with what they had. And I've always liked Mark Dacascos
from that.
Yeah, well, Mark Dacascos is a pretty prolific guy. He was in Double Dragon, the movie. I didn't even realize he was in John Wick 3, but he was.
Yeah, he was Zero. Yeah, he is the sushi chef.
No, really?
That's him.
Okay, all right. This show is going up another tier. There we go.
Also, for fans of cooking, he was the chairman in the American version of
I remember that.
Top Chef. Iron Chef. That's
Iron Chef.
Iron Chef. Top Chef. Not so good.
That. Well, and Sabine Carcenti, who plays Shelley, she leveraged her success in this series to go on to star in Battlefield Earth.
That's true.
Hangry, I left that in last week. Like I didn't need to relive that ever again.
I'm sorry, Nolan. It'll never go away.
Those wounds run pretty deep.
But yeah, so Mark Dacascos,
scars at this point.
Really, really qualified martial artist. He's got a number of martial arts under his belt, and he brought it all to bear in this TV show. Because every time he crows out, I love using that word. Every time he crows out, the martial arts come out, and it's just an butt kicking adventure.
I got to go with Crows Up still.
Crows Up?
Yeah.
That's true. It's very Hulk-like though, because apparently the crow is even like a different persona or something.
I didn't even get that.
Kind of. So, okay, for those who've never seen this before, basically he's come back from the dead. Yeah, we didn't even give a recap of this TV show. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the basic premise is that Eric Draven, played by Mark Dacascos, and his girlfriend Sabine Carcenti, they were murdered by this gang. Eric comes back from the dead, and he's kind of like a zombie, but not in the Walking Dead sense. He's sort of alive, but still has a foot in the spirit realm. And this crow, which I guess, and the TV show heavily leaned on First Nations imagery and I think mythology. The crow, the animal, was his spirit guide, which brought his spirit back from the dead. And through the crow, he could see through its eyes. He could kind of communicate with it. It would lead him towards the people he needed to commit revenge against. And it was a source of his powers, which were heightened strength, immortality, and regeneration. Basically, he was like Wolverine. You stab him and he would heal right up. And so that's basically it in a nutshell. It was an interesting concept. Again, James O'Barr was the original author of the comic book, and he had done this book during a very, very difficult time in his life, listening to a lot of the music at the time. And so it was basically sort of a cathartic release outlet for him. And it was picked up, the movie Brandon Lee, and the rest is history, so to speak. So at any rate, it's as I said before, the TV show starts getting a little weird because along with getting a job, along with being put on trial, Eric also, I'm just going to read some of these episode descriptions. So in episode 16, a deranged Russian criminal uses a cursed manuscript for ritual murders and the power that resides within Eric's loft to become the host of the evil spirit of Rasputin.
I like that one.
Eric becomes episode 17. Eric becomes the unwitting test subject of the Lazarus Group, an ancient secret society whose leader seeks to achieve immortality by transferring his mind into the body of a crow. And this is starting to get kind of Star Trek-y here a little bit.
Yeah, and that's where some of the so remember the fascination with VR in the 90s. Yeah, they had like a I don't know, visor from a motorcycle helmet, and they strap some LED lights to it and that kind of thing, and they put it over his face, and somehow he's, I don't know, in the cyber realm or something.
And then the season finale, which ended up being the series finale, after acquiring a new body, Frederick Balsam murders every other member of the Lazarus Group and uses a dark ritual to separate Eric and the crow, which abducts Shelley, who had been sent by heaven to try and save the now powerless Eric. So they really did go deep into the idea that the crow and Eric Draven were two separate individuals, which again is an interesting concept. I don't think any of the other movies have touched on, or any of the other media.
Not yet.
And this was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, with lots of sort of Canadiana. And the music that they used included Econoline Crush, Mud Girl, Rob Zombie, The Crystal Method, Delirium, Biff Naked, Painkillers, Oleander, and Zero, which I think was the precursor to Linkin Park.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So
no.
Yeah.
But no Triumph. That's a tragedy.
Yeah. So
no wonder I like this show.
This show feels like it is the 90s condensed into like television form.
So yes, I like it. And yes, it does keep the 90s true to form, where every single finale is a cliffhanger garbage.
So the producers planned to make a television movie to wrap up the major loose ends after the show was canceled, but it never happened. And then later on, the showrunner said that he planned to make a 6-hour miniseries to wrap up the show. And according to him, Eric was going to be picked up 5 years after the event of the season 1 finale. So I guess the crow and Eric would be split up for 5 years. Like,
what if that movie that's coming out here soon is actually all just an elaborate scheme? It's actually a sequel to this series.
Wouldn't that be funny? No, I highly doubt it. I think, well, what's really kind of interesting is that this movie that's coming out with Bill Skarsgård, and I'll throw him back up here. I guess he's been, it's that nipple tattoo that really kind of freaks me out. I don't get it.
And thank you for zooming in.
Okay, am I saying wrong about the whole thing? Is Jared Leto not actually in this movie?
No, he
Or
was
just
he, okay. So it's gone through a number of different lead actors, and I think Jared Leto was attached to it, but then it got basically stuck in development hell. Heck, for the longest time. Sorry, Jonas. And
okay.
so then they had a number of other actors, including Jason Momoa. He was set to play
What?
the lead for the longest time. Yeah. But then again, he dropped out.
Sorry, but now I see him as Nightwing with that face paint.
Yeah, that's true. I
Could
mean, I
he
think
pull it off? Nah,
here.
I think he could pull off Nightwing. Yeah.
You could. I don't know about the crow though.
We'll have to look, but I don't
No,
know if he
no,
could
he
pull
can't.
off his inflections. You know.
And
Maybe.
so then finally they settled on Bill Skarsgård and FK Twigs. But again, there was a recent leak out of somebody who said that he had worked on the film, and he said it was just basically like go into it expecting a disaster. So as much as we're hoping that this movie will be the film that takes The Crow to the next level, I don't really have high hopes. I'm not sure. What about you
It's
guys?
going to be more like
No.
when he died on that night, as opposed to when he was resurrected.
Yeah. So, it could very well be the case that there will be no movie that can top the first one, and that's probably not a bad thing. I see the logic behind wanting to have sequels and to continue it, and it's a story that sets itself up well. Like it's a conceit that sets itself up well for various stories. The classic tale of coming back from the dead to seek revenge, but I don't know, they just keep screwing it up.
I think
I
the
think
original
they
Crow
need to
movie.
either.
Sorry, what was that, Martin?
I was gonna say I think the original Crow movie and the story it's just too 90s to redo now. It's about street violence and drugs, and it's like in this weird place between goth and grunge and metal that just doesn't exist anymore.
That's true.
I think it.
What-
I think it's like it's such going. I think me and Martin had the same thought process here, where I think if they were doing The Crow, they have to do a new story with it because you're not going to outdo the original because it is something they can't replicate, which is it's authentic 90s. Like they have to do something new with it. And the smarter thing to do to kind of spin something Tom Connors at Midnight's Edge once said on a live stream I was listening to, where he's talking about how Megan is basically a remake of Child's Play. If they want to do that revenge story, they'd have to update everything and call it something completely new. That because you're never going to, shock people again like how this movie did. I mean, you can try to replicate the 90s, and I try to do that kind of stuff in my work all the time. And I think some people have excelled at replicating the time period of older times. Take like Oppenheimer, for example. But that film took a lot of work, a lot of passion, and unless you get someone who's so passionate about The Crow, I just don't think there are people behind it right now who can replicate this vibe and connect with people the same way the original has, if that makes sense.
100%. And I don't think and to the credit of those other movies, they weren't trying to replicate it. Like each of those characters was a new character who came back, but they weren't able to capture that lightning in the bottle, the feel, the look, the intensity, the music, the atmosphere, like everything that made that first one a good, like a fun, a good film to watch.
Have any of you seen any other Brandon Lee movies?
No, I think I saw one once. Yeah,
the stuff he was in before, I think the one was called maybe Showdown in Little Tokyo or something like that. That was with Dolph Lundgren. He was in something before that. No, maybe he was in after it called Laser Mission, where he plays opposite Ernest Borgnine. But he's a charming, charismatic guy who seems to have fun with stuff, There's just not a whole lot of charisma around Hollywood anymore. There's some brooding, but there's not a lot of charisma.
Great point. And
Yeah.
this might just be a personal, maybe I'm old, but am I the only one who looks at this picture you have here on the screen? I'm just like, dude on the left just looks so much cooler than the dude on the right. Maybe it's just different strokes, different folks, but I'm like, it's like you're the guy versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Like long
He looks more
hair,
dangerous.
gauntlets. Like, what's that?
I said he looks more dangerous.
Yeah. This guy, like, he's a threat. The other dude looks like he's trying too hard to be cool. No offense to the actor, but
I also think, though, we're looking at two different phases of the movie. The Brandon Lee picture is from late in the movie after he's been shot up and he's duct taped himself back together and stuff like that. I think Skarsgård, that's more towards the beginning of the movie. That's my guess.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the tattoos I think that throw me off with Skarsgård. You know, not
I can't unsee the eye, by the way,
again.
now.
I got to do this. Sorry, guys.
No. Rather the third eye than the other eye.
Yeah, it's just
Got like 5 eyes on him right now.
yeah, I know. And like, what are these? Those are little red crosses. There's a centipede. There's the all-seeing eye. Like, it's just you're right. It looks a bit too try hard, and maybe we're a bit old. But hey, who knows? Maybe this is what appeals to the Generation Z audience.
I'm technically Gen Z. It doesn't.
No? Okay. Well, yeah. So
Well, instead of tattoos, I would like to mention that Mark Dacascos was supposed to be the Red Ranger in Saban's original production of Bioman.
What?
Oh, yes.
I think I remember reading about that. Yeah.
Is this like an unmade thing?
Yeah. Before Saban did Power Rangers, it was gonna be a show called Bioman, and Dacascos was supposed to be the Red Ranger.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this more.
Hang on. I'm pulling it up here. Oh yeah, so Bioman was one of the precursors of the Power Rangers, the Jew Ranger, the Jew Ranger, the Dino Rangers, and they were cyborgs, I think.
Yo, I love these costumes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so he was going to be the Red Ranger. Oh, that's interesting.
I can just hear them singing Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto in that picture.
I know.
Oh my gosh, guys, let's buy the rights to Power Rangers and make an American version of this. Let's do it. We can get like a cybernetic theme song, and this is gonna be the best show ever.
That's
a couple more bad adaptations, we might be able to afford it.
I know. Well, that's before the Power Rangers that we all know and love. There were so many years worth of these previous series with all sorts of really funky costumes, and so there's still quite a lot of.
Done any Power Ranger version of them? I've wondered for a long time. I'm like, you could do this if you wanted to.
And so there's still a lot of material out there that could be used and exploited and tapped and so on and so forth. But I think you guys
crossover with the Crow. Do you think they could do that?
Well, I almost kind of think they should cross over with Double Dragon.
Wow! Oh my gosh, he looks so young in that.
Yeah. So there's Mark Dacascos on the left there, and the other guy, what was his name? I know he was very popular.
Wait, is this like based?
He was the guy from Party of Five, Scott Wolf.
Scott Wolf. Yeah. This is based off the video game.
I never knew they did this, and I'm supposed to be like the most game-centric. What?
And the T-1000's in it too.
No.
Robert Patrick's in it? No way.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. And then the chick from Who's the Boss? What's her name?
Alyssa Milano?
Alyssa Milano. And she has this really unfortunate short blonde haircut.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, it's a movie. It's not a show.
Oh, yes, a movie.
What?
Yeah. Two halves of an ancient puzzle are the only hope.
Okay, this sounds like my kind of movie.
Power.
It's nobody's kind of movie.
Darkness.
Which makes it our kind of movie.
Yeah, you know what? We might have to cover this.
Yeah, I'm
and
down.
the video game too. All right.
Yes.
Well, guys, on that note, we have to bring back our friend, the eponymous Crow of Judgment. To render
that's my
judgment.
reaction to the trailer for the new one, as someone who hadn't even seen the show at this point, because even I knew remaking The Crow was a really, really bad idea.
So, what do we think about the TV show?
Now,
It's
the
worth a
show
watch.
is pretty lit. Sorry, go ahead, Martin.
Worth a watch.
Yeah. I would say so. It like again, if you've seen the first movie, if you've got a bit of an interest, like they do expand on the lore a little bit more, and so there is a bit more world building, and they do talk a little bit more about how the entire process works, including how a zombie gets a job. But on that note,
Well, it does help
worth,
when you're part owner of the club.
it's worth a watch. I'll say that it was just a weird decision, but there have been weirder in Hollywood, like The Acolyte, for example. Anyway,
Some weird ideas got multiple seasons, and this one only got one.
that's true. That is true. Well,
all the shows that ran longer than this one. Yeah.
Nolan, you got to go watch that movie though, the Brandon Lee movie. You got to put on a black leather coat, put on some face paint, sit down in a dark room, listen to The Cure for an hour, and then watch the film.
Well, I was thinking like before this episode, did we all need to get like the face paint on and all that? We gotta do that one day. But yeah, no, as my first exposure to The Crow, I guess I'll say I had a good time. It makes me appreciate it. I'm sure the movie will probably be a lot better, but it will be a little weird because we tend to be biased to the first version we see. So now I'm going to be like, oh no, why doesn't he look like the other dude? Like,
I think this actually was the first version I saw of The Crow.
Really?
The TV show.
Yeah, because I was pretty young when the original movie came out. So, and I'm from a very conservative family, so I don't think I saw it till college.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
How did you first see it then, Hangry?
I went to I saw it in the theaters.
Ooh.
How old are you? I guess I'm aging myself a little bit here, but I saw it I think I saw it in the theater. Oh wait, no. I bought the soundtrack first. And
let's go.
I listened to the soundtrack forever.
Tape or CD?
Tape. And it was only after I'd basically memorized that entire soundtrack that I think I went and I saw the film. I think I rented it actually, if memory serves, on VHS.
Such a mixed feeling too when you hear the soundtrack before the movie. First case scenario can be, oh my gosh, this is amazing because I get to hear these songs, and oh my gosh, it's so clever what they did. But it's flipped, because sometimes you hear the soundtrack and then you see the movie and you're like, really? They put it there? They should have put it there. Like, you just start micromanaging how they did the music. At least I do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call a buddy of mine, because I think actually the first time I saw the movie, we did a double feature of The Crow and Boondock Saints.
Oh,
it was like the most 90s thing possible.
Wow. And then you should have done like She's All That, or one of those American Pie movies, maybe. But
the only time I've ever done a double feature at maybe there was another time later on. But
no, this is like Blockbuster. We went to Blockbuster.
Oh, gotcha. I was talking about like in the movie theater. Like, it wasn't right at one right after another, but my family, back in like 2008 or whatever, we saw the Simpsons movie, and I think we were staying at a hotel at the time, so we went and saw another movie later that night. We went to see, I think, Daddy Day Camp or something.
Oh no.
Oh, how sad.
Well, at any rate, we're gonna be, I guess maybe I might go and check out the Crow movie, because I'm morbidly curious how
it doesn't look bad per se. It's just one of those where it's like,
why did you have to do this?
Why are you doing this? Yeah, it makes me more so just want to see the original.
So and once I go check that out, I think it's like, I can't remember when it's coming out in July. I'm certainly going to sort of give my thoughts the next time I talk to you guys about it, but it does say something about the franchise, the concept that it's lasted from basically the early 1990s all the way up until now, and that they're still viewing it as something worth exploring and going back to again. So, that, to its credit, I would say, even if it has gone through a whole bunch of pretty rough media, it still has a concept that I guess people have faith in. But we shall see, and the Crow of Judgment shall see. So, gentlemen, any final thoughts on the Crow Stairway to Heaven?
No, check
Why
it
was
out.
there not any Go ahead.
That was it. Just check it out. Have fun.
Oh, my only complaint is why was there no Led Zeppelin in it?
That's
Because that's 70s.
yeah, that's 70s.
I know, but the song existed. They don't have to be like teenagers. They can go back and listen to the old stuff. Like, it's literally in the name. Like, come on, guys. Like,
They
it's
probably
cool,
couldn't
right?
license Zeppelin.
Oh, that's true. They had the budget of potatoes, so.
Because Zeppelin didn't really license anything until that Cadillac commercial that had rock and roll in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a deep dive. I'm checking out.
My question is whether this new Crow movie is going to be all Skrillex or maybe no.
I don't know. That what you got on the screen that says "Boys Don't Cry."
I get a bit of a Taylor Swift vibe from it, actually.
Oh man, what if that was the whole soundtrack throughout the movie? You know, it's probably gonna be. No, they won't even. I'm kind of feeling they're probably gonna go more for rap than rock this time around. That's just my theory on it. But they're probably going for a different kind of counterculture. But I don't even think we're gonna get like really good rap. We're probably gonna get like second billers. That's just my theory before the movie comes out.
No, I think it's
know.
still going to be rockish, but it's not going to be new metal. I don't think. That might have tried to bridge the gap. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. They might just keep recycling like the '90s ones because there probably won't be much originality. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to bring. I know we do old stuff, and maybe we'll have to revisit this one day.
Maybe we will. Well, on that note, it has been a pleasure, gentlemen, talking to you about The Crow. And audience, if you liked what you heard, please leave us a comment down below. Please hit the like button. We would love it if you could.
Would you come back to life to watch this show, audience? Would you do that?
Would you come back to life to watch The Lost Guys? I hope so.
I hope they would. You do it for us, right, guys? You're loyal fans that love us, right?
But please do hit those likes, because since these videos are member videos, we can't actually see how many people have watched them. So the best way that we can gauge it is through your interactions, through your comments, through your likes, through everything you leave down below. So do not be shy. Please let us know your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes or future subjects, as always, we would love to entertain them.
Please do. I try to read every comment that's left on there. We appreciate all the likes and support you've been giving us and stuff, and like your feedback's being listened to, and we would love ideas and stuff. We got plenty in the works, but we'll try to prioritize them if we keep seeing some ideas keep coming around. Like we are here to hopefully bring y'all a good time and a cool little blast from the past. Like, it's a fun time.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will bid you adieu, and it is time for us to get lost.
Yeah, wait, can we get Judgment Crow before we go?
Okay, hang on.
I don't want to leave on that. We need Judgment Crow.
You need the Crow of Judgment?
Yes, Crow of Judgment. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend the Crow of Judgment.
There he is. He's not.
There we go. All right, that's how you end an episode.
All right, now we got to get lost. All right, talk to you guys later.
Get lost.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of The Lost Guys here on That Pod Plays. Be sure to subscribe for more content like it, and you can become a member at That Part Place here on YouTube to see more of The Lost Guys every Friday as soon as the guys record an episode. Let us know your thoughts on this intriguing topic in the comments down below. Please comment, like, and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to That Park Place Podcasts Online, your source for exclusive content and highlights from WDW Pro, The Pro Show, and That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.